I'm Sarah.
Hey, I'm Ravin.
Hey, I'm Mayor Kenny Holloway.
And I'm Devin Carter.
And this is City Culture. Welcome to the City Culture Podcast. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Ravin.
And we have our first guest today, Devin Carter, who is a young director for theater plays, and among many other things. And then our mayor, Kenny Holloway. We're going to introduce them and let them talk about themselves for just a moment before we get into some deeper topics.
Fun discussion.
Yes. All right, Devin, you want to give us a little info about yourself? Give us a little backstory so we can know where you are at the age of 18, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
In your career. All right, shoot.
Hi, my name is Devin Carter. I am the director for Welcome to Wonderland. I graduated from Ocean Springs High School in May of 2022. I did 2 years of their competition theater, and the last year we went to MTA with a show called Alice's Vaudeville Return to Wonderland, where our show takes a lot of inspiration from.
Cool.
Very nice. So what you're talking about right now is a show that you are putting on here at the Mary C.
Mm-hmm.
So you are partnering with the organization, and this is your first directing job. However, you've had a lot of experience in the background from your competitive days in high school, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So now you're in college, and you also work at the Government Street Grocery here locally.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you're very involved in our community.
I've been at the Government Street Grocery for about about to be 3 years coming in this summer.
And we love coming
Cool.
to see you there. So we're gonna get back to you. We're gonna let the mayor introduce himself for just a moment, and then we'll keep going.
So I'm Kenny Holloway. I'm the mayor of Ocean Springs. I've been in office almost 2 years. I also graduated from Ocean Springs High School, but a lot longer time ago.
I love that.
So we'll just leave it like that. But we have a lot of good things going on in Ocean Springs. I'm excited about the upcoming year, and we look forward to sharing some of that with y'all today.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about why you ran for mayor of Ocean Springs.
Well, I've just felt there was a need for some different philosophies, a different direction, and we have a lot of opportunities in Ocean Springs, and this is where I was born and raised. I'm passionate about the city, and I had a lot of people just come up to me and said, why don't you do that?
Yeah.
And we did all the research and had a lot of help from a lot of good people, and decided we'd take a shot at it.
Yeah, well, we're glad you're here.
I think that's a huge thing when you've got the people to do it with. You have the support, and you have the different teams that help you accomplish any and every goal that is a part of keeping the city going. So with that said, I think that we brought you two on because it's an interesting dynamic. You both are leaders. You both are visionaries. You're both passionate about what you're doing right now. And we want to dive into that a little bit more, about you being a visionary, what you're passionate about, and what's difficult about it. How do you find balance and keep yourself driven enough to inspire others to do what you do? Does anybody want to kind of give a little bit of insight to that?
Well, you're right. It takes a lot of people, and it takes a lot of good people that have the same desire and passion that I have. I always say this, and Raven's heard it probably too many times. I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. I want to have people around me at the table that are smarter than I am in their field.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very important. If I'm the smartest guy in the room about everything, then we've got problems. But anyway.
Because you're not listening to other people if you're the smartest person in the room, right?
Well, no, I mean, it's just, I don't know everything. I don't know, a lot about everything. I know a lot about organization, and I know a lot about, surrounding myself with the right people, whether it's being the mayor or in the private sector or whatever it is. You've got to you've got to rely on that
So
to make
both
to
of
make it
you,
work.
both of you have to connect with teams of people to make it happen. You've got to create an energy and put that energy to those people, right? You have to do that with your cast and crew, right?
Yeah.
And you've got to do that not only with your board of aldermen, but then with all the different teams that you have within the city that make up what you try to accomplish daily. So, how do you go about that when you're having a bad day, when things aren't going right, when you are faced with a challenge? How do you suck it up and find a resolution? What's the first step that you take to find a resolution for a problem, to give the energy that you've got to give to your team?
Uh, First, I make sure we're pretty much all on the same page. We're all on the same parts of, say, a script where everything's chaotic. Like yesterday, for example, we finally had everybody into the building, and
So this
a
is at
lot.
rehearsal
This was rehearsal yesterday
for Welcome to Wonderland.
for Welcome to Wonderland.
Nice.
So we had everybody in the building at the same time since the read through, and it was a lot of energy being put in because everybody's been working on their character. Everybody's asking questions about costumes and stuff. I have my costume designer go through with the queen, trying to make her costume and stuff. So I have that going on in the back, and then I have photo shoots happening with Alice. So we started rehearsal a little bit at 5:20. It's supposed to start at 5:30, or no, 4:30. So we just had a lot of energy being pumped into the room, and I had to step off to the side and take a breather.
Got to compartmentalize.
Carpet, I can't say that word.
Compartmentalize.
I'm not gonna attempt it. But I just took myself off to the side and then realized what we had to hit today. And if we got to anything else, great. If we didn't, oh well. And then I made sure that they realized that that was the first thing that we had to hit today.
And you know
was
that
the
your
only thing.
cast is they're forming relationships within themselves. They're seeing you and what your needs are, what the play's needs are. That is a growing support for what is going to be a huge production in the end.
Right. Well, what about you, Kenny?
Yeah.
Well, I'll sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes difficult when you have an idea and you see the end result, but you just can't seem to get everybody on the same page. So I always kind of think, well, is this a battle that is worth the effort? Because we probably could lose this battle and still win the war.
Yeah.
And that's the idea, to win the war. And I'm not saying that negatively. I'm just saying, it's sometimes it's a struggle. I think that the direction that my administration wants to go in is everybody's on the same page. Sometimes you get negative feedback from the public, or you get some negative feedback from the board. And then you just got to sit back and say, hey, is this worth it?
Right.
Can we burn the political capital on this one? So it's picking and choosing, of dealing with the personalities of everyone. But I don't mind, and I encourage constructive criticism from people.
Right.
And
I love
and
that.
sometimes they don't give it to me because they're afraid. But I get constructive criticism from you sometimes, and Sarah sometimes,
No way.
Love
and
you.
some other people, and in City Hall, and that's fine. Because sometimes you get blinders on, and you're full steam ahead, and
But it's
you
kind
don't
of your
realize
job to take that in for what it is. See it, maybe it came out in like a snarky way, but the intention is good.
Are you talking about our conversation?
I don't know.
Yes.
If, like, ideally, you think it's part of the job, but it also goes back to what kind of person and leader you are.
Absolutely.
And I think that your team, that this might be true for you too, Devin, is comfortable enough because we want to help guide you. We don't want to see you fail, so we're going to say, hey, don't do that. That's not smart. Or this is what I see. Let's talk about it. And I think
Right.
that's helpful.
When you became mayor, I think you're my first boss, number one. So I think I migrated to you
No way.
because of the way that you approach projects and problems and like how you think about things, and you are a creator. Patty says me and you both just wear her out constantly because we're always coming up with ideas and like setting things in motion and just like going. Um, but you know, we have to look at the bigger picture and make sure that everybody is not exhausted from what we're doing to them. But
you're
back
right.
to what Raven was saying, we do love you and we do support you, and we do know that deep down you are listening to us. And that is where the reciprocated respect is happening. And I think that that's happening, you know, within City Hall, within all the different people you're dealing with.
I think the
But it,
morale of City Hall, I think the morale of the city employees is good.
Yeah.
You know,
I do
I was
too.
talking with Alderman Cox yesterday in my office, and I was telling Bobby, I said, you know, I think the morale of the city is very good right now, and everybody feels comfortable, and everybody's working towards, you know, the same goals.
Yeah.
So that's positive. That's a win.
So would that be what your production looks like? The end all result, the end all be all? Is it about the atmosphere you're setting, the morale of your employees and your community?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've got some major projects we're working on, and you know, obviously in government they don't happen as quick as we'd want them to happen.
Boy, I'm learning that.
And yeah, so you know, that's what you try to focus on, and then you know, in the meantime, you're right. I come up with a lot of different things that probably some of them I shouldn't, and it creates work for everybody. You
But
know,
you're bettering the city.
the cemetery tour. You know, I threw that on YouTube at the very last, you know,
It was
like
a fun
2 or 3 months.
challenge.
But it worked
Yeah.
out great, and I think it was a hit. The Christmas tree lighting, you know, that just popped up, and here we go. You know,
Right.
so it's a lot of stuff that goes on. But there's some major things that we're working towards that I think will really financially help the city long after I'm gone. So that's the war.
It's
Right.
important to pull yourself away from the job and make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Devin, I'm watching you. You know, you're running around. You take your brother to school. You go to school. You've got homework. You've got rehearsals for this play you're putting on. We're even talking of new plays to put on outside of the one that we're putting on in March. So I see you absorbing. How does it feel to have an organization like the Mary C helping guide you, coordinate, just like with the mayor, he's got a support system that helps him. This is kind of what I hope you feel you're getting from us, is a support system to help guide you and help make the right decisions and just kind of check in, you know?
Uh, it's all been stressful. Since I am doing, I put a lot on myself. I put a lot on my plate for absolutely everything. But
They don't call it work for nothing.
right, um, but the Mary C has definitely helped me out a lot. It's given me an outlet to put on Welcome to Wonderland and help me do future productions. And I really, really love doing theater. I didn't realize it until I started doing it. I took theater as an art credit. I couldn't draw hands, so that's the only reason why I did it.
But something drew you to it, you know?
Yeah, it made me stay. I know I
And
couldn't
we
do
were
it.
drawn to you, you know, we were drawn to you because of who you are. We can feel your energy. We can see you're a leader. We can see your connection with other people. A lot of times I watch people and see how they deal with others, not just me, not how they're treating me. And that really shows me I can trust this person. It's not easy to trust people. It's not easy to be a leader and have people talking in your ear because everyone's got their own agenda a little bit. But we don't want to like we don't want to make that what our morale is in our community. We want to make sure that we're that one coast theme. We're all kind of coming together and opening up and helping one another. And yeah, criticism is a thing. It happens. We're taught in school. That's what our theses are. We are criticized for what we are doing, but it's to help to better ourselves. So in that respect, how do you guys feel? I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry. How do you guys feel about failure? How do you feel about you're working hard, everybody's working towards the same goal, but you're still failing? How do you handle that?
Well, it's you never want to fail, but in life, everybody's going to fail. You just got to learn from it, and it's an old cliche. You learn from it, and you do it better the next time. So, if you think you're doing the right thing, and you know you're doing the right thing, and it doesn't happen, then you adjust it, and then you go back at it again.
So how do you define failure? Like, people always ask you how you define what's success to you, but what is failure really to you?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
You're
I thought
welcome.
you were going to throw me a bunch of softballs
No,
up there.
because normally,
colors?
if you're going at something and it doesn't work how you're envisioning, you're very great at adjusting and shifting. So how do you know that you have failed and like it's time to go do something else?
Well, I guess when you get to the point where you just say, "Hey, this is not going to happen," this is not going to work, and then I would call that a failure because of the time and energy that's spent on certain things.
Right.
And but then like I say, you got to back up, look at it, and is it worth spending the extra energy on it?
Mm-hmm.
Or what did we do wrong here? Let's adjust it, go at it another way. So that's what I would define as failure.
Yeah. Well, Devin, what about you?
Uh, it's a lot different than what you do, but giving up. If you see that something is failing and you just abandon ship, it's giving up.
Yeah.
If there's something that can happen, if there is something that you can do to fix it and not doing it, I feel like that's failure for it.
I love that. Most times when we're working towards something, if it's not the painting at the end on the canvas that you thought it was going to be in your head, normally a couple of different other avenues or other doors open up and it turns into something else. Usually when you're working towards something, multiple things come out of it. So as long as like we're working towards something that we're passionate about, we're on the right track.
So the goal of our podcast here is to talk about the bigger picture. So, we're bringing you to the table to talk about this big picture of Ocean Springs. Tell us, in your own words, what you think the bigger picture is for Ocean Springs. What are we working towards as a community?
Well, I think we're working towards, obviously, everybody's, trying to make Ocean Springs the best it is, best it can be.
The place to be.
It is the place to be.
Just slide that in.
And, we've got to increase, and I don't want to get into the weeds here, but, revenues, and we've got to provide better services for our residents, our citizens. But then we've got to keep what makes this city unique. And I've talked to some folks the other day. I had some interviews with a group, and I said this is what makes Ocean Springs work: the downtown area, the hospitals, and the schools. I mean that's the three major drivers of this city. And without those three entities, moving in the same direction, getting better, then the city won't get better. We've talked about some different projects going forward. We've got a great project coming around across the street here with the old Swingster plant.
Right.
That's going to be huge for the city. Big investment by two individuals, two local people. And then, what's going to happen at Public Works when we move that facility?
Right.
That's going to be big. I mean, that's going to really, I think, those two projects are going to elevate the city financially and also create a new vibe. But in the same time, it is going to protect the downtown area.
Right.
So I'm really excited about those two things. And the Front Beach, we as you well know, because we're working on it together, enhancing the Front Beach with the fort and the entertainment and marina that's going to happen on the Fayard's property. I mean, those are, I think, what I call generational projects that for future generations are going to be able to enjoy that and benefit from it. I'm really fired up about what's going to happen there.
Yeah. So Devin, the mayor talks about generational investments, generational projects. What for you would be a generational project? So, you've partnering with the Mary C to bring, and I just want to put a fun fact. I grew up in theater too. So what do you hope to invest maybe into the Mary C or into the projects that you're doing that you want to see to impact kids to come?
Just basically building a system to where uh, I plan on going up to college at William Carey in about a year and a half. So building a system to where we can slip another director in, it'll be like running on the same machine.
Right.
I want it to work well whenever I leave, and I want to come back and maybe be better whenever I come back. But I want it to be something that just keeps going and going and going, because there's theaters all along the coast.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think there's a community theater in Ocean Springs. I mean, people can correct me if I'm wrong.
There's not.
But it's just, I feel like Ocean Springs has kind of been missing a community theater, because there's a couple in Biloxi, there's a couple in Gulfport, but it's so far of a drive for some people in Ocean Springs. Right. So it's something local.
Yeah. So what is fun about community theater? I grew up in community theater in Gulfport. The skills that you learn, that's just not dealing with theater.
You learn so many different people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm currently working with about 4 9-year-olds and a 66-year-old, all in the same cast.
Yeah.
I have a couple of 20-year-olds, a bunch of teenagers. So you learn so many different things.
Right.
On one scene, you could be learning about how somebody grew up in a different era than you did.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can be talking about TV shows with people who are somewhat in your same age group. And then you can be talking nonsense to a 9-year-old.
Yeah. So how do you effectively communicate with all these different generations? Like, y'all are working towards the same goal. How do you get the message to all of them?
I have the recording of what we did at MTA, and it was me and 4 other people in my graduating class that all put that together. It was our senior project. And so I really wanted to put it on a big stage. Mm-hmm. That wasn't MTA. That wasn't one night only. I wanted to put it somewhere on a bigger stage. So I walked in with the idea of, this is what we're going to do, the big picture in mind. I let them know full on that this is going to be a really big project. It's going to have a lot of movement, because vaudeville theater has a lot of movements mm-hmm. with their actions. I said that was double. So I let them know straight away what was going to happen.
And just for people that are watching that don't know what MTA is, you want to explain a little
Mississippi Theater Association for sorry.
It's okay.
It's the Mississippi Theater Association that happens in different, I think it happened in Tupelo this year, but every year high schools get picked for the shows that they did, and then they travel up and then they compete with those shows. Ocean Springs actually won this year, yep. And they're traveling up to Kentucky for nationals.
Yep.
So Ocean Springs High School has been a really good competing theater for a long, long time. So
they work so hard.
They do.
You guys, you were in it. You guys worked so hard, and most professional kids I've ever dealt with.
Oh yeah.
When putting on the haunted house for Spooky Springs, I mean, you guys created an energy that makes you want to just completely transform this place, and that's what happened. I mean, what you're capable of is pretty incredible, and for someone like me, who is running, a building, a staff, we have partners, most of them are adults, having you guys come in, just, it's an inspiration. It's what we need. And that connection is how I am learning our youth is so important. Not only providing them with programming, but working with them, seeing what they have to bring to the table, going ahead and starting to train them for, a creative career. And letting them understand what it's like to have a contract with an organization and schedule rehearsals and meet the needs of those and having that plan. I mean, that's the small that's one project, you know, out of like what's happening in our community, but it's done well and it pulls the rest of the community together. And that's a beautiful thing. So you're doing a huge thing, and you're a visionary. You have this idea, and you're making it happen. Just like the mayor, you know, he's got a way bigger project, but
way bigger.
If he takes care of each one like you've taken care of this play, it's going to go just fine. It's going to draw people back in and get them invested, because we can't do it alone, you know. So I love that. You guys are doing an amazing job. I think we really want in our podcast to break y'all down and let the people hear your voice, hear who you are, because it's not easy being a leader. It is not easy seeing a vision through, an idea through. So if you had to kind of sum up what you would want someone to know about what you do and why you do it, what would you say?
A lot of the reason why I do things is for a lot of the time the end result. There is nothing like walking out on opening night and then hearing everybody just cheer afterwards. So that end goal is what I'm looking for that. Also building the relationships that I have.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that going into theater that I would build some of the relationships that I have.
Isn't it funny what we're capable of?
Oh yeah. I don't really know. I
think that's a perfect answer.
I need to sit for a second on that question.
What about you, Kenny?
What was it again?
What is your ultimate goal, basically? What do you want people to see you as? What you're doing, what you're working towards? Breaking it down from not just being the mayor, Kenny Holloway. What's important to you about what you're doing, and how can you connect with your community?
Well, it's you know, what I want to see is, you know, after I haven't been the mayor, I'm not the mayor any longer. I want people to be able to look back and say those years, you know, really made a difference in the future of Ocean Springs, and that's basically, you know, the bottom line. You mentioned, you know, the One Coast theme a little while ago, and you know that's truly what this Gulf Coast is. Mayor Hughes in Gulfport coined that phrase, and Billy and I go back a long way. But you know, each city along the coast has something different to offer, and that's what makes this whole thing work. If you know, and it keeps everybody engaged, but it's not that everybody's competing, you know. And I think everybody realizes that, and I think the state realizes that, because when I'm in different parts of the state and in the capital, you know, and talking to different people who live in North Mississippi or wherever they live, you know, they know Ocean Springs, they love Ocean Springs. And but if it was just Ocean Springs, we probably wouldn't get as many people down here as we do. Right. And that helps a lot. But you know, you just want to at the end of the day, you just want to feel like you accomplished what you're set out to do. I think we're on a good track to doing that. Mm-hmm. And I think and at the end of the day or the year or whatever, you want to be able to say, you know, you want to be able to hear people say, you know, those were good years. Those were good years, and Ocean Springs really made some, you know, strides forward at that point. I think that no matter what you do, whatever you're doing in life, I think that's what you're trying to get out of life.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ravin.
So, I just want to do a fun question. Well, how do you know, your leaders, how do you relieve stress? You go out and dance? Do you paint? I mean, you're a creative artist, but I mean, is there something quite opposite that you might do, like, I don't know, math
Meditate.
problems?
That was very opposite.
Math and meditation.
Math problems.
I thought we were going in the same direction when we were going.
I try to make it a point to have lunch with my brother every week.
Oh yeah.
He came down from Kentucky recently, and I want to spend as much time with him as possible. So I've actually pulled him into this project. He asked what I've been doing, and then oh no, now he's pulled in.
Yeah, well,
Uh-oh.
good. Sucked him in.
But other than that, I've been binge watching How I Met Your Mother.
That's a good show.
I can watch it on my phone
Okay.
any place. That's pretty much it.
So,
We
Mayor,
see
you
you
have
walking
you
all
have
the
a
time.
stressful job constantly. How do you relieve some of the stress?
Well, yeah, Sarah's right. I walk every morning if the weather's decent, and you know, but that doesn't relieve me from work because I'm on the phone most of the time. A cocktail in the evening doesn't hurt.
That doesn't hurt.
But you know, I've got a boat over in at the behind the Golden Nugget, and you know, sitting back there on the back of the boat watching the sunset, you know, really is kind of the getaway. Somebody said, "Well, why don't you put your boat in the Ocean Springs Small Craft Harbor?" I said, "No way,
You would never.
no way. Everybody'd be stopping and talking."
That's your
Right.
sacred space.
Yeah. So, and even, you know, getting out, you know, on the islands or fishing, you know, that's what I love to do.
Yeah, for sure. I think people forget, like, I could go home and no one's going to come, but you're the mayor 24/7. Like, you walk down the street, you're still the mayor. People still bring you problems constantly, and be able to go and
And that's
hide.
why the pay is like $2.46 per hour.
When you really break it down.
When you really break it down.
Is this
you're never,
worth it?
You're never off.
But I love what I do. And, you know, somebody asked me, how's it going? I said, well, you know, I haven't woken up in the morning not wanting to go to work, dreading I have to go to work. So that's good.
Good.
Are you sure about that? If we had
When
a
he-
lie detector
When he said when he
connected
wakes
to-
up,
Oh.
he wants
Not
to go
when
to
the
work.
number's out.
Gotta love defrost in the morning.
I love it. I love it. Well, I think this is a good moment for us to start wrapping up.
Mhm.
Is there anything else you would like to talk to the guys about to kind of break down that bigger picture and how their dynamic, it could be very interesting to the community just to listen to they're talking about their individual careers, but they're kind of speaking the same language. That's
They are
kind of
speaking the same
that's kind of
language.
what we talk about, you know. So it's that bigger picture. You know, we're seeing two leaders at completely different ages and in totally different fields, but you guys are on similar paths. And you know, I love to broaden our audience with that, basically.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure. You know, they're both leaders kind of, you know, doing what we would say opposite things, but the theme is the same, you know, guiding people, you know, surrounding yourself with good people so you can, you know, get this end result that you're looking for. It's great.
so Devin, is there anything that you want to ask the mayor?
What advice do you have for me for like the next 10 years of my life?
Well, obviously, I think you got a lot of on your plate now. You know, you sound like you got a lot on the ball. Very sharp young man. You know, just do what you think is best for you, and don't look back on the next 10 years and have a lot of regrets. You're gonna mess up. You know, it's just part of life. But that's part of it. So don't let that get you down. You know, keep your eye on the ball, and you know, just keep moving forward. You'll be fine. You're gonna be successful.
I often make myself very busy, and then I have to take these moments and dial back because I make everybody else around me busy. And I know that is not healthy in the end. Yes, we're getting things done. It is looking great. You know, the production is gonna be wonderful, but finding balance in between all of that is what's so important. Do you agree, Mayor? How would you suggest to find balance to a younger person?
Well, first thing, you don't go down the wrong path. You know, don't hang out with the wrong folks. You know, keep a positive attitude. You know, look at the big picture, and you know that's pretty much, you know, that's it.
The bigger picture.
He said it. Tagline.
How is that? You know, we always find a tagline in there.
Yep.
I was wondering if it was going to be finding balance, but man, it really is about the bigger picture. Don't you think, Ray?
Yeah.
And you find balance in your life?
I am starting to more.
And you have to balance the mayor.
Well, I
Got 2 children she takes care of.
I know.
That is true.
And a husband. That's 3.
Well, maybe 3.
That's 3.
growing up, just because of kind of some of the situations I was put in, I'm always looking, what is an opportunity? Everything is an opportunity, whether it's an opportunity to build a relationship, to further your career, to have fun. Like that's how I kind of view life. And sometimes I have to take a step back and say, it's okay to lay in my bed and binge watch How I Met Your Mother or Netflix. It's something that I'm learning more to kind of step back, but I can never have my mind never stops. So
I feel that. We're friends. So I check in with you, you check in with me, and I can see when we're both overworking. And then when you start putting like these really great quotes on social media that's like, this is what you should do with your life. This is how you find balance in your life. And I'm like, yeah, Raven, she's working towards that, but she's not actually doing that right now,
don't
right?
tell people.
But you're manifesting it.
Speaking
You're putting
For
it
sure.
out there and you're manifesting it for yourself. And then like that next week, you're like, Zen Raven, and I'm like, oh, you like took your own advice. Good job.
Accurate.
I love that. All right, Kenny, what would you like to ask Devin?
Devin, obviously, if you're in the political world, you try to cross generations, specifically when you're trying to get reelected. So, what advice would you have for me to connect with the 18-year-old that's voting for the first time, or the 20-year-old person? Because what we do and what we talk about, when you're talking about water, sewer, drainage, projects like that, it doesn't resonate. But what do you think resonates with the young voter?
I'll be completely honest. I've kept myself kind of disconnected with a lot of that. I was just becoming to vote this year, and I didn't fully give myself the opportunity to vote because I really didn't know everything. And I like to be informed on my decisions, so I have no idea where to pull from that.
Well, what's the interest? I mean, obviously your interest is in theater, but outside of theater in the city, what's your interest? What do you want to see happen to Ocean Springs in the next 10 years?
First thing that came to mind is a parking lot downtown, but
Well,
There are
that's
parking
happening.
lots
That's happening. That's coming.
no, I just feel like communication with people, which I feel you do a good job, but communication with people is a big thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Just hearing everyone.
It
So-
must be hard. I'm sorry, Raven.
You have done that all day.
Well, thank God this isn't live. But it must be hard to have opinions about all of that when you don't have a home yet, and when your community is a little different than Kenny's community or even my age group community. But I think what you guys are both saying is connection. That those interests, having common interest and connecting on that and helping one another. So how do you communicate that to Kenny or that age group and vice versa to start that conversation? I think we're doing that here, Raven. I'm so excited. But how would y'all do that without us? You feel like you can approach the mayor in town when you run into him downtown?
While he's walking in the morning.
Maybe now after you've had this conversation.
Yeah, now that I've had this conversation, I've actually met him.
What about for all your friends?
I don't know. That's a good question. I have no idea.
So how would you say, maybe this would be a little easier. How would you go and find engagement with the city? So you're 18, elections coming up in a few years, and we're like, how do we make sure they know when to vote, who all the candidates are? How do we engage with you? How do we get to where you are to get information?
Definitely through social media. go through.
Do you follow the city?
Follow
You
the
will
Mary C.
today.
I'm starting to follow the city.
Do you follow the Mary C?
I follow the Mary C. Yes.
You're going to
Step
be
one.
following a lot of things today.
You see my name pop up a little bit more. Definitely through social media. Possibly through,
Yeah.
I would say online forums, but just go through Facebook. I don't know. I haven't thought that far into it. Like I said, election came around and I wasn't
Twice you
well
registered
informed,
to
so I
vote.
kind of just put it off to the side, which
You're coming down to
not
City
yet.
Hall today.
as soon as it, like, I didn't know election time was
Well,
happening.
you
And I
know,
was like,
that's to my point right there. You know, yourself, and I'm sure a lot of your peers, you know, that when they become 18, you know, when I became 18, you registered to vote and you registered for the draft.
yeah.
Today, we don't have.
I've registered for selective services already, yeah.
so-
But I just I didn't register to vote, and I missed
Well, that's
missed the
easy.
election
Yeah,
to do it, and I was like, and whenever it comes back around, I'll be registered to vote. I think with my generation, we get distracted a lot easier, along with social media, just outside sources, keeping ourselves busy with a lot of things. So just maybe not really a constant reminder, but just like something like
Into your head.
not subliminal messaging. What is it? Messaging.
Well, I think it's important
Yeah,
that
just putting it everywhere.
politicians, mayors, representatives, supervisors, whatever, they hear from your generation, you know, because in the, you know, the projects we're working on right now will affect you for a long time. So
Years
it's
to
important,
come.
I think, to hear from the young voters on what they're interested in, what they expect, what they're not seeing in the city that they think would be, you know, unique to them or to their advantage, you know. And right now, I'm, you know, in your field and what you're doing, you know, obviously we do a lot of work here in this theater, but we touched a little bit on the fort down on the beach, which I think once we get the stage covered and we've ordered sound and we get the lights set up, I think that would be a really neat venue for a play. But obviously it's going to be like concerts, but really neat for a play too. So, you know, that kind of stuff is what I'm trying to accomplish, that I think will affect the younger generations. I know it will, to come. So, you know, what I'm getting at, are we headed in the right direction? And if we're not, how do we pull that information out of an 18-year-old or a 24-year-old or somebody like that?
I feel like just having more things that are not, I know this is probably out of your control, but just having more things that are not like the nightlife scene for people of my age who can't go out and party, can't go out and drink, just having something more to do downtown so we don't have to cross the bridge over to Biloxi
What are
every,
you doing?
different way
every
to
time that we
connect.
want to go do something. They have Margaritaville, just fun stuff around there. Just different way to connect,
Utilizing
different way
the
to let off
ocean, the
steam after
islands
work and
are,
stuff.
You know, our sporting here. I think what I'm hearing from you guys is, it's language. It's a language barrier. You know, the things that Kenny is saying, I understand them now because I work for the city. Being private sector for the last 10 years, being in my own artist bubble, my own art studio, working with only other, you know, my clients or other art organizations, it is not the same world as politics. It can be very intimidating. And if we don't speak the same language, it could seem like we're incompetent, but we're not. We know what what we want to say and what they're saying, but it's just hard to have that conversation. There's an intimidation there. So there's a disconnect, you know. Like you were saying, you know, we have this event that the chamber puts on. It's called Breakfast with the Mayor. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, food. We can connect over food. But it's 8 o'clock in the morning when
But it's
most folks are in school or in class at your age, right? So, you know, okay,
Yeah.
then I'm like, oh, well, we can do like maybe a nighttime thing, but we don't want it to be cocktails because you can't drink. So you're not going to connect, you know, with everybody else who's on a different level, you know. So yeah, maybe there's a moment to start thinking about like what else can we do together, you know, laugh, have fun, play games, you know, whatever. So I think that's, you know, a good goal to start working towards. Well, guys, we just want to say thank you for coming today and giving us your time and having a little dance break before we started and breaking down that good energy and having a moment where we can actually connect you with the community and find that balance between city and culture.
Is there anything else y'all want to say?
Well, I just want to say that I think what y'all are doing is really good. It's you know, we've talked about it a little bit, but now that I've experienced it, I think this is going to be something that the people in Ocean Springs should tune into and watch, because I know the two of you are very creative and you have a lot of talent, and the city's fortunate to have both of you. And so I just think this has been a successful first start for you. And thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Devin, any last words?
You know what? Run promotion. Come see Welcome to Wonderland at the Mary C. March 2nd through 4th, and then 9th through 11th.
Perfect.
Thank you for tuning in to City Culture. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Ravin.
You guys have a wonderful day.